Welcome to the Hollywood Scholar. I'm Jed Morgan, and I am back from the G&G Orlando meetup, and I had such an incredible time meeting all of you there, but it just really reinvigorated me to get back in the grind, and start making some really good quality content. I have a lot of exciting plans coming in the future, and it's just all inspired me, so thank you all for being involved in the Geeks and Gamers meetup over in Orlando. It was one of the best experiences of my life. But to celebrate this return from Orlando, we've got the consolidated numbers from the recent Power of the Doctor special. Now, they're a little bit different than I originally predicted, but not far off. And a lot of that wiggle room that I think is the difference between my predictions and what it ended up being comes down to the revelation of David Tennant's return at the end of the episode. But we have this news here from TV Zone UK, which posts these numbers pretty regularly, and it's not great. It's still not great. Still by far the lowest viewed regeneration special in the show's entirety, and that's really, really not good. But the consolidated numbers for this Power of the Doctor special was 5,295,000 viewers. It's not good. It's really not good. Yes, it's the best of her latter half of her run, or pretty high up there with some of the best of her latter run. It's still not great, especially when compared to her predecessors, especially when compared to regeneration specials, and considering the return of David Tennant. If all things were good, if Doctor Who was in its golden age, the return of David Tennant would have made this one of the highest viewed episodes in the show's entirety. Even with his return, it could barely make a blimp, barely make it high average for Jodie Whittaker's entire run. That's not a good sign for the future of Doctor Who. That's not a good sign for people's hope with RTD's return and just the future, what we have in store. As long as the Timeless Children is in effect, I truly do believe that the majority of the fans who used to know and love this show will never return, because that just annihilated everything that we loved about this show. The core of it, it was stomped on, and you were mocked for caring. And that's never going to be okay. So unless RTD erases the Timeless Children moment one, this is the best we're going to get. This is as high as it's going to get, roughly. I mean, we're probably going to get some more with David Tennant, but even with the return of David Tennant, this is the best we got. And this is compared to the initial 3.59 million that we got from the overnight viewership. So it went up about 1.5 million, 1.7, and I predicted 1 to 1.5. So it's a little bit higher than I expected, but it's still relatively close. So I'm confident in saying that I was roughly accurate enough to be able to call it. And it's kind of sad to see. And this goes hand in hand with the American numbers that we have from the TV series finale, which only got up to a 0.06 demo, which is insanely bad. See, it's the second lowest from season 13 with Flux and Legend of the Sea Devils and the Eve of the Daleks special. The only one that had a worse demo was Legend of the Sea Devils. That one was horrifically received, and it's still really, really bad, even for a regeneration special. And then it's only 317,000 people who viewed it in the United States, and an average of 3.32 million. So it's even below the average for Flux in America. Power of the Doctor couldn't even beat out the average for Flux. That is abysmal for a regeneration special. Now, there is something that I do need to say that I was initially wrong on, and I can see the reasoning behind it. I predicted that the Rotten Tomatoes would be a lot lower than it is. I mean, who trusts Rotten Tomatoes these days? But from the audience perspective, it's well more liked than I initially would have predicted. And I think a lot has to do with the nostalgia involved in this episode. From the classic Doctors coming back to David Tennant's return, the companions coming back at the end. There's just so much nostalgia that I think that won over several people who otherwise would have looked at it critically and have been very hard against the rest of Jodie Whittaker's run. So the Rotten Tomatoes is up at 66. And this is after some chicanery that went on when the Rotten Tomatoes first went live, where no one was allowed to review it for the first few days. And even when people were, the score wasn't updating. There was some weird stuff going on. But 100% from critics is asinine, and 66% from audience, I feel, is hyperinflated from the nostalgia, but I can see the reasoning behind it. I thought it was abysmal. I thought it was horrific. The nostalgia was just used to cover up the horrific writing that has exemplified the Chris Chibnall era, but overall, kind of an interesting turn of events that I hadn't predicted. So that is one thing that I have to say. I was definitely wrong on that prediction, if nothing else. So these are just some really interesting numbers, and it's not a good sign for the future of Doctor Who that David Tennant's return could only get 5.2 million people to tune in after a week after it was publicly announced that he was returning. That was all that they could muster. They couldn't even double the overnight viewership with the announcement that David Tennant would be back. Now, a lot of people probably just watched the regeneration on YouTube that aired right after the episode, but still, there should have been a much higher spike if the love for Doctor Who was still able to be resurrected to the degree that the studio probably hopes it will. And then you add in the recent Disney Plus co-production news. I have less hope than ever about the future of Doctor Who between this news, between the Disney Plus news, and who Russell T Davies is in this day and age. So I think Doctor Who is well and truly dead. I will be watching the 60th anniversary just to see if RTD decanonizes the Timeless Children in it. If he does not, it is dead, and I am more than happy to make that prediction now that he will not, and that Doctor Who has long since been deceased. But anyway, that's all I have for today. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Anon. If you like what I do here and want to see good, compelling stories that Hollywood will no longer give you, check out my book series, Odyssey of a Phoenix, a mythological epic about philosophy, morality, and modern-day mental illness issues. Books 1, Down in Flames, and Book 2, Apocalypse Then, currently on sale. Book 3, Kill the Dark, coming soon.